Good morning, traders. It's Wednesday, May 29th, 2019, 5:45 a.m., and I am Jonathan van Clute with Stock Navigators, reminding you to press that thumbs up button, give us a like on the video, and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay tuned with what we have coming up next. We got some big things coming up in the very near future. And let us start the morning out by taking a look at the S&P 500. Let's see what's going on in the markets right now because, oh boy, are we in for an interesting time now. At long last, it seems like it's taken forever. We have cracked this level here. This has been a very significant area and just been waiting for this to happen. We've been looking for this. So we've been expecting this to be the A, B, C of this retracement. And we've just been waiting for it to unfold, waiting for it to happen. And it finally did. And now we are looking for probably something down in this area here. We've got about a 70% probability of price getting down into this range. So we've got some downside ahead of us. No question about it. This market is wanting to head to the downside. And interestingly, if you take a look at the 60-minute chart, this is kind of wild, but this is how this stuff goes. We have this trend line up here that was established by using the high here and then basically just riding these bodies here and slightly cutting through the wick here. And it was just a line that made the most sense with what the market had done at the time I made the trend line. And then look what happened. The price came back up, tested the trend line, it held, rejected, came back up again, tried one more time with some real force, still couldn't do it, and still rejected to the downside after hopping over that trend line. So it's just interesting to see that these trend lines, they matter. They really do, even some distance into the future. Then we had a new trend line develop once price rallied up to this level. I put a second trend line in here, and price did in fact hop over it right here, went sideways, but then once it got to that other trend line, it fell right back down again, and look where it fell to. Zoom in on that. Fell right smack to the trend line, bounced off of it, broke through it, came back up to test it as resistance. The resistance ultimately held. Sellers came in right at that level, pushed it back down, and it came back up again, tested it as resistance, and now that resistance has held on the 60-minute. So we are below the, actually that's 13. We're below the 50 SMA on both time frames. So no question, the oscillator is below the zero line, also in both time frames, and this market is heading to the downside. MACD line crossed the signal line on the daily way back here, and it's just been continuing to follow through to the downside. Never even crossed above the signal line again. 60-minute MACD right this instant is crossing above the signal line, so there was a little tiny bit of a bounce right there. But the overall momentum is certainly to the downside. It'll be interesting to see this morning after the open. Do we get buyers trying to buy this dip, seeing this as, oh, the market is, it's on sale, we got a discount, so they try to buy the dip until they just give up. And do we just end up with a repeat of this back here? Because that is exactly what happened here. We had buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Oh, hell no. And then buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. And then it just went sideways for a while. And then, of course, again, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Everyone tried to buy the dip. And it just did not go so well for most of those, unless they had deep enough pockets to be able to hang in there all the way down till things reversed to the upside. So it is going to be very, very interesting to see how much of that repeats itself. These things do tend to repeat themselves in the markets. So I would not be at all surprised to see some of that happen again. But overall, in general, we're looking for something around 27.17 or so to about 25.66 or so. Somewhere in that region is what we're looking at for this pullback to finish. And then we'll have to reevaluate what's going on in the markets, what's going on in the world, and watch for some kind of signs that a bottom might be in. However, don't overlook the possibility that we are actually simply double topped And now a true downtrend is in the works, and we will actually challenge this low down here, possibly even break it, head to the downside below that. So that is possible. You look at a bigger time frame, and you will see that that is entirely possible. All right, let us now add RTY to the mix. This is a new one to the analysis, so I'm going to start adding this each morning, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And RTY is generally fairly similar to the S&P 500, but you can see some key differences. The all-time high in RTY was actually back here, and we did not get back up to that the way we did with the ES. So in the RTY, we had resistance right there and a secondary resistance right there, and we got stopped dead cold by that once in the past, and the second time we also double topped, rejected, and came right back down again. And now it is essentially doing pretty much the same thing as the S&P. We've got what's looking like an A, a B, and now a C. We're heading to the downside, and we are looking for something around here between the 38.2 and the 61.8. So 1483-ish to 1396, 7-ish, somewhere in there is the likely target for this retracement. But also, similar to the S&P 500, you have to consider that if this was the top up here, if you think about this as a possible correction in a down move, let me get rid of that real quick, and let's just do a retracement. There we go. We'll do a retracement from the high here down to the low here. And look what we have. Here's the 61.8 level right there. And we got just a little bit over it, but then just oscillated around that level. So that level was certainly a significant one. And it's looking like it's possible that that is just the retracement in a much larger down move on a much larger time scale. So keep that in mind. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this market when price gets down into this region here. Do we double bottom and then come back up again? Or is that just the start? We break that low and head lower. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. We get lower here and watch for some kind of a double bottom or something. Right this instant on the 60-minute, you can see here we have a double bottom that is looking like it is not going to hold, at least not for long. We did have one rejection of it already. Price attempted to reject that level and bounce higher, but there was just no energy in that bounce at all, and it's already come right back down again just the last couple hours and is now heading south. So market will open in about 40 minutes, and it'll be time to see what this market wants to do. Are the buyers thinking that this is a buying opportunity, time to buy it up? Or are they going to be too nervous and they're just going to stand aside and let the sellers drive this down? I am expecting it to be decided in favor of the sellers, but we will see. We will see. We don't know until it actually happens. But right now, anyway, it's looking like those lower lows and lower highs are just wanting to continue. Oscillator momentum is growing to the downside. MACD line crossed below the signal line back here, and then has kissed it a couple of times, but has not really broken it to the upside. Oscillator clearly below the zero line in both time frames. So everything right now is looking like it's wanting to head down a bit further. So if the buyers step up, they can change that. But right now, we are below the 50 SMA on both time frames. In addition, the 13 SMA has crossed below also on both time frames. So yeah, everything is looking quite bearish. Let's take a look at crude oil, and crude has just been really dropping. It is basically doing a continuation of a flag here, and so we're looking for this distance here added to this, and I think we're pretty close to there, actually. Let's take a look and do an extension and see what we get. There to there to there. And okay, we are actually past it already. So we passed it, popped back up above it again, and now came down. So it's looking like it could actually extend further, and wouldn't be surprised to see something along the lines of, get rid of this, grab my retracement tool, and I'm looking to this as being a wave 3 complete. So let's see what we got. and we're in the 38.2 or past the 38.2 already, but anywhere in this area is the probability, 70% probability. So we have already achieved that. So basically at any time, if this market is ready to continue up for the wave 5, then we are looking to do that really anytime. We just need to see some sign of a turnaround, a bullish engulfing, or something along those lines. MACD line to cross the signal line to the upside on the daily, something like that to kick off the wave 5 starting, because we have already reached the beginnings of our pullback level, but there's some distance to go. So don't jump the gun or anything. Be patient. Let price fall as far as it wants to fall, and then turn around and head higher, especially if there's any kind of global political catalyst, something happens in the Middle East, somebody starts shooting, something like that. That is certainly going to be bullish for the price of oil. Okie doke. Google. What am I about to say? I'm about to say Google. Gold, something that starts with a G. Gold this morning. Gold is trying to bounce. We had kind of a triple bottom here, and gold is now wanting to bounce to the upside. So it's still, it's just killing me with this 100% target. Still has not quite given me that 100% target that I was hoping for out of this flag here. So we haven't gotten it, but we've gotten very close. And right now, anyway, it's certainly looking like that is the bottom. Oscillator has just not been able to go any lower. Right now, oscillator is most definitely heading higher while price was trying to make a new low. So right now, anyhow, it's looking like there might be some upside momentum, but really, if you kind of zoom out your view a little bit, it's just sideways. It's pretty much just stuck in this area. Yeah, it had this one little peak above it, but it didn't amount to anything. So it's looking pretty sideways. I don't see a whole lot of confirmed anything. There's not really a trend to be following or anything. It's just sort of a sideways market right now on the daily. On the 60, whoops, go away. On the 60, you can see there's the sideways action, and we're basically just trapped between these two zones. We've got a buy zone down below, buy zone down below, and a sell zone up overhead, and pretty much just stuck there. So until something changes, until we can break out of that, this is how we're going to be trading. So be prepared for that. Right now, we are smack in the middle. So we don't really have any kind of confirmed anything. If life depended on it, had no choice but to trade, you kind of have to go with the upside, because right this moment anyway, the oscillators above the zero line, MACD line above the zero line, and the signal line. Price is right now testing the 50 SMA. So that's going to be potentially important. If the 50 SMA holds as resistance, then we can expect to see a little bit more move to the downside. But if we don't get below this low here, then the market is not looking to head lower. It's so sideways. There's just no clear anything. So this is a market, in my opinion, unless you are really good at and really like trading choppy sideways markets, this is one to just wait for it to establish a clearer trend, or look for a continuation of the downtrend. If we can get up to this trend line, down this downwards trend line here, which is also right around the 50 SMA on the daily, and then see a rejection of price from there, then perhaps the downtrend is ready to continue, and maybe we'll get this 100% target after all. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, let's look at natural gas, and natural gas has appears anyway to have made a higher low. So we had the absolute low there, and then first higher low, break that higher high, next higher low, and right now looking to head upwards again. So if we can take out that high, especially if the oscillator can get above the zero line, MACD can get above the zero line, if we can see all of that, then there is a very distinct and strong probability of a move to the upside. To me, it's looking like we have a wave 1, a wave 2, and then a 3-1, a 3-2, and a 3-3 is brewing. So I think we need to keep a close eye on that level right there. If that is broken, then I'd say we've got a 3-3 happening, and we can look for a decent move on that. Probably something in the range of at least this high, if not a bit beyond it. So, and then of course that would signal a definite reversal. Now we're making higher highs and higher lows. So have to be watching closely to see what happens, and watch for a cross of the zero line on the oscillator. On the 60-minute chart, we've had a big push up this morning, Sudden momentum has come into this market. You can see the oscillator definitely sort of shooting up to the upside. And I zoom out a little bit here. It's got some momentum behind it. It's definitely got a little bit of a push, no question. The 13 crossed the 50 and is pushing hard to the upside. So it's looking like we got some bullishness coming into natural gas. And Bitcoin, boy, Bitcoin just does not want to stop. I was really kind of thinking we were going to get a bigger retracement out of this, but that was the whole thing. So we had this triangle there, or here, depending on how you want to draw it, and it popped to the upside for some continuation. And right now, it's looking like we kind of have a wave 5, rather. Wave 3 seems to have ended here, and then wave 4 ended down here. Now we've got a wave 5, and there's not probably going to be a whole lot more upside right now. This is FOMO time. You can see how the trend. I zoom out just a little here, a little more. There we go. You can see very clearly the trend was sideways and then started to head up and then just went completely parabolic and is still trying to continue that. And that's just not sustainable. I mean, look how far away from the 50 SMA we've pulled now. We are way far away from that, and that is just not sustainable for long. So this market needs to come back down, give us a bit of a pullback. This is clearly no longer the case, where we got our not even 38.2 retracement. So now what I'm looking for is an extension. So if we do that from the low here to there to here, we're looking for 61.8 to 100%. And so absolute max, we're looking for something like this. And I don't know that this market is going to have it in it to do that in one straight shot. It's possible. It is certainly possible. But it's also possible that it just gets up a little bit higher, maybe to the 9,500 level or something like that, and then runs out of steam and pulls back down. It's all going to depend on how badly the buyers want it. Certainly, this is an emotionally charged market, and any little good news of any kind can often bring the bulls out in force. But if you zoom out a bit, don't overlook this. What do we got up here? We've got resistance right at about the 10,000 level. So that is kind of what I'm thinking is our likely limit to this upside here. Is that level. And is that all the data I've got? Yeah, it looks like that's all the data I got. Let me see if I can go back any further. I don't think I can. I think that's all the data TradeStation has to give me. Yep, it is. All right. Well, anyway, we've got next major resistance up here at like 11.5, which of course is also that 100% level right there. So I certainly think that definitely that's going to be a realistic max. But even down around this 10,000 level, I think is a likely place where this market may find some significant resistance, give us a retracement, and then that would be another good entry for the next leg up. This market is certainly in a bull trend right now, no question about it. We have reversed this bear market and are now making higher highs and higher lows. So we've got a bit more to go, and then watch for the pullback. So if you want to be a buyer short term, you could think about doing it now with a short term target overhead. But if you're looking for a really big long term buy, you're probably either wanting to scale in, start now and add more on the dip, or just wait for that retracement, wait for the pullback. Okay, let's go back, take a peek at the S&P 500, make sure it's still there. And it is. It is just kind of going sideways right now, waiting for the market to open this morning in 25 minutes. So let's see what happens at that opening bell. It's going to be an interesting one. I will be in the premium trading room shortly. So for anybody who's going to be joining me there, I'll see you there in about 10 minutes. And then we will get started a couple minutes after that. See what Tom thinks of this current price action and get some projections for what might be shaping up today for the trading day ahead. So that is it for me, Jonathan Van Clute with Stock Navigators. Again, reminding you to make sure you hit that thumbs up button right now while you're sitting there. Give us a quick thumbs up on this video. And if you've got any commentary, anything you'd like to ask, like other symbols you'd like added, which is why we have RTY now. That was a request from Virginia. So thank you, Virginia, for that. That was a great suggestion. And leave me any other feedback you have in the comments. Anything you'd like me to analyze or explain, any techniques or methods you're curious about, or anything like that. Anything I can do to help your trading, you let me know, and I will do my best. Okay, well, until Friday morning when I do this all over again, you have a great couple of days and trade well as always.